Daniel. We saw him in the last stream. He has become the fans' favorite here. We will feature the second match of the semifinals as well, but let's hear it first of all for Tamao. You can see him here on the screen on the left-hand side. He's playing for the third time here on the stream. We've gotten to know his deck quite a bit here, and here you can see the key cards in his deck.
Yeah, Vileplume, Item Lock, then Vespiquen deals a lot of damage. And with Frost of Giant Plan, you can evolve both of them in your first turn. So you have a very strong first turn, Belt Compressor, you get off Pokemon in your discard pile, then you rush through your deck with Shaman EX, set up Vileplume, Vespiquen, and then you just attack with Be Revenge the whole time. He also is a very experienced player. He made top cards at the biggest tournament we ever have in Europe, the European Challenge Cup, twice. So we have a very experienced guy here. On the other side, we have Oliver Barnett with his Zoroark Evotal deck. He decides to play very X-slimless, so he doesn't have a lot of EX Pokemon in his deck. He plays the Evotal, Zoroark, and Zoroark Break. Also Drodigon, which is a very nice addition to the deck. For double colorless energy card, you deal 90 damage. With a muscle bet 110, exactly enough to knock out opponent's Shaman EX, which is the main purpose for Drodigon. But it's a basic Pokemon which deals a lot of damage for just an energy card, and you don't have to use your Zoroark early on. And yeah, he also got a few top cards at Regionals, just had a very close top 8 game. So both players are hoping to get their spots. There's a lot of the line from them both, because to get the top 22 spots and thus the day 2 invite for World Championship, they both essentially need to win. They need at least the finals. Like, winning the tournament would be great, but they need at least top 2 to really secure a spot. And we see Tamao starting the game, which is very important for the Vespiquen Vileplume deck, because turn 1 Vileplume is so hard to deal with when you have a lot of item cards on your starting hand.
Yeah, we've seen it time after time again, that if you're up against a disruptive deck just like Vileplume, it's so important to win that coin flip, but there's nothing you can do about it. It's 50-50. So Tamao will have the luxury of being able to start here.
Yeah, and we see Tamao being forced to discard his Banalby, which will be very important in this matchup, because Oliver, like I already mentioned, doesn't play a lot of doesn't play a lot of Pokemon EX. And Tamao plays 4 double colorless energy cards. So if Oliver knocks out 4 Vespiquen, which have a double colorless energy card attached to it, he immediately wins the game, because Tamao is not able to attack. This is where the Banalby comes in play. It can shuffle your double colorless energy cards back into your deck. But in the discard pile, it can't really help you, and while you're self under item lock as well, there is no way for you to get the Banalby back. So now Tamao is kind of stuck with his 4 double colorless energies.
Back-to-back tough decisions for the Acrobike. We've seen that before. Tamao always stuck with a very difficult situation here, as he decides to discard a Shaman EX for the Ultra Ball.
Yeah, Acrobike is a very interesting card, because you take 2 cards, one of them goes into your discard pile, one of them goes into your hand. So it's always hard to decide. Sometimes you have very easy decisions, where you have like the same card twice, or a card, like one card you of course want in your discard pile and one that you of course want in your hand, so you have easy decisions. But where you have cards that, like one card you need, you will need later, and one card you need now, then it becomes really hard to decide which one do we pick.
He decides to go with Oddish. Now, most likely going to bench it right away as well. So he's preparing to be able to evolve it into Vileplume later this turn. We also see a Gloom in hand. There's also Battle Compressor, so you can use that. And he has been able to walk through his deck already a couple of times, so he knows now how many copies of each card are in my deck, so that he can plan accordingly.
Yeah, Tamao has a very strong hand. He has Frost of Giant Plants, Gloom, Oddish, double colorless energy card, and Shaman EX. And now we see him Battle Compressor for Oddish and Glooms, which is a very good card. Vespiquen deals more damage the more Pokemon you have in your discard pile. And when you already have Oddish or Gloom into play, you don't need any of them. So you play 4 Oddish, 4 Gloom. A lot of people tend to play 4 or 3 Vileplume. And the moment you have your Oddish, you play Battle Compressor and discard all of the other Oddish. And the moment you evolve your Oddish into Gloom, you can play Battle Compressor and go on discard all of the Glooms, because you won't need them anymore. The moment one Vileplume is in play, it usually stays there.
And there it is. There was the piece of the puzzle was still missing. We didn't see it, so the Forest of Giant Plants allows him to slap down that Oddish and evolve it into Gloom right away. And then Shaman EX follow suit, and there's a Vileplume already.
Yeah, it's a problem because the Vespiquen Vileplume deck, even though it is an item lock deck, you play a lot of items yourself. So evolving into Vileplume first before you play a lot of items is always very risky. So you usually try not to. Tamao, we see here on the trainer mail that there is a Vileplume, so there is nothing like 2 Vileplume price or something like this, which would be a problem for Tamao. As he picks the Judge, we already talked with Tamao about Judge, and he said, yeah, it was very important for me to shuffle in Pokemon that I don't want to discard, shuffle in double colorless energy cards, and also turn 1 Vileplume and Judge. That's very hard to follow up after that happens.
Yeah, we've seen it before when he was on stream. We saw that he had the Vileplume in hand. He could have evolved it, but I guess he realized that I have to play many more item cards to be prepared here in my first turn. So he even discarded it using an Ultra Ball for another Shaymin X, so that he was expecting to be able to get another Vileplume from his deck later on during the first turn.
Yeah, especially when you don't have a lot of Pokemon in your discard pile, you usually use your Battle Compressor to get Pokemon discarded. Or like in Tamao's case, he also has Misty's Determination, which is a very great card in the deck, in my opinion.
He's considering it.
Yes.
There we go.
And once your Vileplume is in play, it's hard for you to discard Pokemon. And then you can't knock out your opponent, which is like the main purpose of Vespiquen usually. But against Oliver, it's also interesting because his Pokemon don't have a lot of HP. So he plays Misty's Determination, looks at his top 8 cards. It's like a trainer mail, but way better, like twice the amount of cards. You can pick everything you want. So with Misty, you can take Forest of Giant Plants, which is great, because when you don't get your forest early, it's extremely painful to set up. And you can get cards like Double Colorless Energy. Misty's Determination is one of the few cards that can actually search your deck for Double Colorless Energy.
Yeah, hard to obtain special energy. That's one of the drawbacks that come with the special energy. And we've seen Tamao making good use of Misty's Determination, especially in the late game when his deck was so thinned out that he was able to shuffle back in double colorless energy using his Bundlebee, almost ensuring that he would draw into one of the double colorless energies.
Yeah, another thing to state is when he evolves into Vileplume, he has to have a Floatstone attached to it, because otherwise Oliver can just play Lysand or Vileplume. Vileplume is a 3 retreat cost Pokemon, so Tamao can attach 2 double colorless, retreat, then he would lose 2. He also has his Bundlebee in his discard pile, so if he does that, he only has 2 energy, so he can attack twice, as long as he doesn't use Sky Return, which is also not really great. So Tamao usually wants a Floatstone on his Vileplume before he evolves.
And we've seen it in hand, so that problem is solved already. He'll attach it any minute now, I assume. But there's still plenty of more item cards for him to play. So he's going ahead, and Oliver is like, okay, I'm gonna wait here and you just tell me when it's my turn.
Yeah, the judges want the players to play the item cards they are currently using in the middle of the field, and then after the effect is used, put it in the discard pile, and not like most players do, like just put it on the discard pile immediately to prevent confusion. Like when you play Ultra Ball and discard like a Judge and your opponent doesn't, and then you shuffle, your opponent sees like, oh, Judge is a top card from my opponent's discard pile, he shuffles his deck, he played Judge, shuffle my hand in, and that would be a problem. And Tamao draws into 3 Vileplumes. Well. This is amazing. He has a double colors in hand, he has 3 Vileplumes. And at this point, he's kind of forced to evolve and just pass, hope, okay, maybe Oliver has a bad hand.
And that's
himself.
Actually a problem now. Looking at his hand, there's nothing that could draw him any additional cards. So there is double colorless energy, so you might be considering maybe attaching him to one of the Shaymin to be able to draw some cards. But at the same time, there's so many cards in hand that are kind of preventing Shaymin from setting up properly.
Yeah, the thing is, Tamao has no card that draws him in his hand. So he might attach double colors to his Shaymin, but he wants to have the option to just attack with Vespiquen. As Oliver goes for the Judge, shuffling Tamao's double colors energy back in his deck, but also the Vileplume. So now Tamao has a kind of thick deck with a lot of cards he don't really want. So a Judge will be very hard for him to deal with, because Vespiquen Vileplume decks don't play a lot of supported cards, because you need this one huge turn 1, where you play like all of your items down.
And Oliver
yes.
now, well, he's looking at Tamao, asking, do you have double colorless now?
The thing is, Oliver attacked with Moonless Madness, which is a very great attack from Zorua. Then Tamao now has the option between I go 50-50 and maybe knock out my opponent in his first turn, or I hope he doesn't get something from top and win with this way. And he goes for the safe way. Oliver doesn't draw something, and Tamao just can Sky Return, knock out the Zora, and Tamao wins the first game in this match.
Wow, that was pretty fast. So that judge backfiring just a little bit for Oliver. I haven't seen his hands so before he played that judge. So maybe he was out of options. Very risky there to play that judge, of course, because he had to basically find a basic Pokemon out of the 4 and then maybe 5 cards that he draws in the next turn. He wasn't able to do it. So this was a rather fast match.
Yeah, exactly. So the thing is, Oliver had a Shaman in his hand before he played the Judge, and he was considering, do I put down the Shaman and don't draw cards and then play Judge? That's just that I have a Shaman on my bench. Or do I just, Moonless Madness, hope I draw something from the top 5 cards. And he went for the Moonless Madness play. We don't know if he would have won if he put the Shaman down, because even then it would be one extra turn for Tamao to win. So it wouldn't help him a lot to just put on the Shaman without drawing cards at all. And if the Shaman is in the deck, there's a higher chance for Oliver to draw it after the Judge and then use it to draw more cards. So not putting down the Shaman was the right call, I guess.
This just shows you how important it is for Tamao to start first, and his first turn was indeed very, very good, despite the fact that his hand was not so good after he used Shaman's setup ability. But there was pretty much nothing that Oliver could do there, but hope that game number 2 is going to be a little bit more kind for him, as he's able to start first now and guaranteed to be able to use item cards.
Yeah, Oliver also plays like 3 Battle Compressors, so when Oliver goes first, gets a bunch of Shaman into play, he can just play like all his items down, and then, okay, pass, your turn.
There's at least access to Professor Sycamore, we saw that. There's also Eviltal, that's also nice. I see a Muscle Band, I see a Darkness Energy. I'm probably going to play that down, Professor Sycamore, and go from there.
Yeah, so he starts with Eviltal, which is not really... Well, it's great depending on the situation. If Oliver now gets a very strong turn 1, and plays a lot of item cards, draws a lot of cards, his hand looks perfect for exactly this play, to just play as many items cards as he could, discarding an additional Ultra Ball and a Trainer Mail for this Ultra Ball, going for mostly Zora, maybe Druddigon, which is very clutch in this matchup for a double colors energy card. If one of your Pokemon got knocked out last turn, you deal 90 damage, and then this is exactly the amount Vespiquen has HP, so Druddigon becomes a very easy prize card for Oliver, as he decides to grab a Zorua from his Ultra Ball. He also has Shaman in his hand and a Trainer Mail, so he can play Trainer Mail and then set up for a lot of cards, hopefully finding something like a Battle Compressor or just another supporter for the next turn. Versus Seeker would be great for him because, yeah, playing a Versus Seeker in your first turn is most likely the only turn you can play it at all.
And jokingly revealing his deck while he was looking through it with the Ultra Balls, 3 double colors energy just right next to each other. Of course, he made sure to shuffle his deck properly so that doesn't happen again.
Yeah, and Oliver plays down Evitar with the Fright Knight ability. And you might think like, yeah, it deals 60 for 3 energy cards, and so it doesn't really do a lot in this matchup. But in the first game, we saw Tamao attach Floatstone to his Vileplume, because then he's able to retreat it. And if Oliver plays Lysander for the Vileplume, and then retreat into his Eviltar with a Fright Knight ability, which prevents all tools from having any effect at all, Tamao can't retreat. And then he can just pass his turn, pass. Tamao plays 1 AZ, however in the first game he was forced to discard it after an Acrobike. So Oliver has this option. He has the option to play like Lysander and then wait a lot of times. And Tamao didn't really got what he wanted from the Sycamore. He has AZ in his hand, which he is trying to avoid to play, having this Fright Knight Eviltar on the bench threatening his Vileplume.
Yeah, I think this would be a sound strategy for Oliver, especially knowing that Tamao is looking to thin out his deck as fast as he can. So if that situation comes up, it's really about Oliver being able to stall out Tamao, who wouldn't have access to any item cards at all. So AZ really his last hope in case this situation comes up.
Yeah, Tamao is sitting there like, oh, I don't want to discard it, but here we see AZ hits the discard pile, so that could be a problem. Maybe if Oliver doesn't draw his Lysander, Tamao will be fine. But yeah, now we will see what is going to happen. Oliver also plays 2 Hex Maniacs, which is very interesting. Since Greninja gained a lot of popularity, people start to play more Hex Maniacs. Also, turn 1 Hex Maniac is good against Vespiquen, Vileplume and Night March because they both really depend on Shaman EX. So having 2 Hex Maniac is strong against, not in the turn 1 against Vespiquen, Vileplume because, yeah, Vileplume's ability won't prevent you if you play Hex Maniac.
And Oliver's start looking much, much better here. There's no way that he's going to lose within 2 turns now, as he's preparing a couple of Zorua to evolve into Zoroark, and Tamao accelerating himself now with another Shaman EX and also an Unknown on the bench, drawing into another Ultra Ball here.
Yeah, Tamao has no Forest of Giant plant yet, and this is one of these situations where you don't draw into it early, and then you draw your Glooms, and you're like, 4 Glooms on my hands, no Forest, yeah, pass. And so he level balls for another Oddish, he has an Ultra Ball in his hand, discarding 2 Odders. So since he already has 1 Oddish in play, he don't need any more. So he can just discard all of them, grab maybe another Shaman, and then set up again, try to draw the Forest of Giant Plants. He already played the supporter cards, being the Professor Sycamore, discarding Misty's Determination, so that's not an option anymore. But he still has a bunch of Trainer Mail Acrobike in his deck.
He decides against the Shaman EX in favor of an Unknown. He eyed out Shaman EX, so he wasn't sure about the decision, but a good job in making sure that the Oddish don't clog his hand in case he wants to go for another Shaman setup later on in this turn.
Yeah, so here we see Unknown for 1 card, Acrobike again, a hard decision, do I discard my Ban LB or not?
There it
And
goes.
he knows, if I don't get the Vileplume out, my deck doesn't do anything at all. So I need to discard it, need to get the Forest as we see him here. And yeah, no Forest is in play. I'm pretty sure Tamao had a Gloom in his hand.
Yeah.
However, he can still
Swipe.
draw some cards with Shaman EX.
Now he's still missing the Floatstone, he's still missing the Vileplume, but his turn is not over yet.
Yeah, it's very decent. So Vespiquen hits the field, Gloom hits the field, and set up for 6.
Oh,
I really
clean
love the
6.
combination of Unknown and Shaman EX. So you can put like 2 Unknowns on your bench, use setup, discard Unknown, and then have like 8 hand cards. And we see Tamao having 3 double colors energies after this setup, which can, yeah, it's a big problem, very big problem for him.
He's not gonna be able to get rid of these in this turn. He doesn't want to get rid of these in any case, so he can attach one of them. There was also another Shaman. There's still an Unknown that could make space for that 3rd Shaman to draw him some additional cards, but first of all he's going to go with that Battle Compressor, increasing the chances of drawing into Floatstone and Vileplume.
Increasing, yes, exactly. He increases the chances by discarding cards that are not Floatstone or Vileplume. Mostly more Glooms, more Others. At this point you can also discard your other Forest of Giant Plants because, well, you don't really need a lot of them. Already, especially when you already hit your AZ and Banelby, both of you in your discard pile, then there is no real need to discard cards like Forest of Giant Plants. You don't really need them anymore anyways.
I think I saw another Gloom hitting the discard pile. I didn't see the second card.
He discarded Gloom, Floatstone and Battle Compressor. This means he will have a Floatstone in his hand, most likely.
Oh, there it is. I think I saw it.
Put down his Unknown, draws a card. Well, he has Shaman Gloom in his hand. It's also a possibility that he's just thinking about, well, I don't need the Floatstone. My opponent has Fright Night Evitar, so when he wants to store my Vileplume, the Floatstone doesn't matter either way. Or he tries to win without the Vileplume. So Tamao has a lot of options here. It will be very interesting what he goes for. He's forced to discard a double colors energy, leaving him with 3 double colors energies left in his whole deck. So he prevents himself from a few options as he gets the Vileplume. And yeah, now we see the reason why he discarded the Floatstone. He has to put the Vileplume here anyways. So he can't put the Floatstone down when he don't get it, and he says, okay, I'd rather have Vileplume without Floatstone than one
but there's
with
the last
Floatstone.
chance to draw into it. Oh,
he gets it!
Oh,
the last card, that was
wow.
amazing. Amazing draw.
So if I'm Tamao and I know I'm going to draw into it, I might as well discard the second one. So he's a genius.
Well, he didn't went for, okay, I'll draw the Floatstone. He was just looking at his chances. Well, is it likely to draw the Floatstone? Mostly not. So I just discard one of them and then evolve into Vileplume. But maybe I draw the second one, so he only discards one Floatstones. And of course, there was nothing more he wants to discard at this point.
If I'm Oliver, I'm shaking my head as well. I mean, discarding the Floatstone, using the Battle Compressor and drawing into it.
Yes.
Wow, Tamao is a magician.
It's amazing. So, and then in this situation, we're just having a prize race. A prize race for Oliver. It's more like a resource battle. Tamao has 3 double colors energy cards left. Oliver has most likely all of his 4. And he just needs to take a few knockouts here, as he doesn't find a double colorless. But he still has a few turns left. Tamao has 1 Lysander to grab a Shaman. And if he does that, and Oliver uses stand-in to switch Zorak with another Zorak.
Well played.
And yes, it takes an energy card. Double colors energy card would have been the best play for him, because then he would knock out Tamao's Vespiquen. And here we see the Droligon becoming active. Like I already mentioned, for double colors energy card, you just deal enough damage to knock out Vespiquen. And he uses Giovanni's scheme to draw cards. If he gets a double colors energy card, he is able to use Droligon, but the Darkness energy, he can still use Mind Check, because he attached last turn to Zorak, and then he can use Stand-in. And Mind Check deals, I think, 160 damage, plus 10 for the reverse value at the moment. So Vespiquen will get knocked out. Tamao has 2 double colors energy cards left. What is he going to do? One interesting thing is, in theory, he can just use a lot of Scary turns, because Oliver doesn't deal too much damage. With this board position, if Tamao has 3 benched Pokemon, Oliver hits enough damage to still maybe knock out a Shaman, but if that one Shaman is knocked out, Tamao can just have 2 Shamans and his Vileplume in play, switch around both of them, always dealing 30 damage. Scary turn, 30 damage, promote Shaman. Oliver has a hard time to deal more than 100 damage under an item lock. So that is one option Tamao has, but he also knows Reverse Valley. He can just attach like 3 energy cards to his Evital. Oliver still has the option to just Lysander my Vileplume and use the Fright Knight Evital, and then I have a problem. So there is no option for Tamao to just Scary turn him.
Yeah, Oliver decides that it's time to play Hexmaniac, give him access to at least 1 round of items. He did not find a double colorless from his top deck here, so maybe he's looking for other ways to grab one. I'm not sure if he has another Shaman EX in his deck. He's playing 2 of them. We've seen 1.
Yeah, Oliver just is looking for cards to get him more. He discards the Ace Trainer, which won't... Well, depending on the situation, it will draw him cards. Depending on the situation, it won't draw him cards. So Oliver plays Hexmaniac to prevent Vileplume's ability, then uses Battle Compressor to get rid of more Battle Compressors, which won't do anything anymore anyways. So, good turn by Oliver. He would love to have an additional energy card to attach to Zorak or a supporter. But in this turn we have now, he can also play Versus Seeker and Ultra Ball, like you mentioned, Ultra Ball Shaman. And he goes Trainer Mail, hits Judge, so he has at least a supporter, but also 2 Versus Seeker. So grabbing Versus Seeker in this turn especially is super good, especially when you have Trainer Mail after you thinned out your deck for a Battle Compressor.
So if you wanted to, you could look for Professor Sycamore, give him access to another powerful supporter next turn, or that Ace Trainer.
Yeah, now he has the Ace Trainer in his hand. It was interesting, he discarded it without knowing he would get a Versus Seeker. But he played Trainer Mail, and he has a very high chance to hit it. And even if he don't, well, I don't need it anymore if I'm ahead in prizes. So now Tamao, because of Hexmaniac, also gets one turn of items, using the Acrobike and... yeah, drawing into cards. He has the option between Judge and Ultra Ball. It's hard. Well, if he plays the Ultra Ball now, this is his only time he can play it anyways. But if he takes the Judge, he discards his Ultra Ball, has a lot of not usable cards in his hand. As he opts to go for the Ultra Ball and then play Trainer Mail. Let's see what he grabs. We see Lysander, which is a good card for him to win the prize race. Tamao only has 3 prize cards left because Oliver didn't draw into his double colorless energies. And now Tamao can just Lysander Shame and knock it out. And then he just needs a double colorless energy of Vespiquen to win the game by drawing his last prize card. So Trainer Mail for Lysander is very huge in this turn. It's also interesting, a lot of Vespiquen Wildplan players don't play Lysander at all. But it's a great card to just, after you used a lot of double colors energy cards already, to just get a few prize cards here.
If you're him, would you play that Lysander this turn, or would you rather knock out that Rodigan?
Well, it really depends on your hand cards. If you can't attack next turn, I would think about maybe Sky Turning a few times, because Rodigan active is not too hard, and Oliver having a Lysander is very unlikely. And if you have the Lysander, he would rather just put Vespiquen active, retreat into Yveltal. So Tamao most likely is just trying to win as fast as he can before Oliver gets this turn off. So I think we can see the Lysander here.
And he's setting himself up for success, so all he needs now would be another double colorless to be able to keep attacking even if that active Vespiquen is going down. Shaman does indeed go down, and
he draws a double colors from his prize cards.
There
That's
it is.
Insane. Yeah, knowing that the double colors in your prize cards, then of course he was forced to put the Shaman, because if he only draws 1 prize card, it's 1 out of 3 chance. If he knocks out the Shaman, 2 out of 3 chance to get the double colors energy. He knew Oliver has Ace Trainer anyways, but still, I just need the double colorless. And Ace Trainer is no...
Oh, there
he
it is.
gets the double colors energy,
That's
so
it.
Oliver...
There's no way he can come back from this. Good
Yeah,
game.
Tamao Cameron attacks the double colors energy to his Valplum. Be Revenge, knockout.